The moment he slammed the front door behind me, I felt the world shift. "Find somewhere else to die," he said, voice sharp, venom-coated in casual cruelty. "Your mother isn't here to protect you anymore." I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I walked out, calm, calculated, watching. It wasn't always like this. I remember the afternoons when he held my hand, guiding me through life, when his laughter filled every corner of that house, when I believed I was safe. Mom was alive, love was alive. Together, they were everything I thought a family could be. I trusted him. Foolish. Days after the funeral, I watched him sip his champagne in the sunroom, pockets lined with the inheritance from my mother. Our house, $33 million. He wore victory like a crown. I wore patience. Then came the lawyer's call. My stomach dropped, then sank into ice. "Did you even read the will?" he asked, a chuckle echoing like a guillotine. I had. I had read it the night she died, alone in my room, fingers trembling. Every line memorized. I'd known this moment would come. I remember when I first noticed the cracks, the way he hesitated when I asked for guidance, the way his eyes darted when he thought I wasn't looking. Small lies, hidden transfers, late-night meetings with people I didn't know. He had always been the protector. Now he was the predator. I didn't panic, not once. I watched, I cataloged, I waited for the exact moment his arrogance would become his undoing. I began subtle moves. I consulted quietly, a lawyer of my own, sharp, discreet. Every financial statement, every signature he thought I'd ignore, I collected, memorized, prepared. Every action he took, I anticipated. Every word he uttered in triumph, I saved for leverage. Weeks passed. I maintained the perfect veneer of a lost child, grieving, hurt, compliant. All the while, I built the architecture of his collapse. The day of confrontation, I entered the house not with anger, but precision. The air smelled of polished wood and hubris. He was lounging, as if the world belonged to him. "I didn't think you'd come back," he said, surprise flickering before masking it with a sneer. I smiled. Calm. "You should have read the will more carefully." His face went pale, that familiar arrogance cracking. I laid it out, step by step. Every transfer he thought secret, every fraudulent claim, every trust he had broken. I watched as the realization dawned, slow and cruel. He had not inherited the power he believed. My mother's will was precise. He could enjoy nothing without my consent. Every asset frozen, every account in my control. I was the gatekeeper. I was the inheritor of not just the wealth, but the truth. He opened his mouth. Nothing came. Words failed him. I let the silence stretch, delicious and suffocating. "I suppose you thought you could erase me," I said softly, each syllable deliberate, "that without her I'd be powerless. But you underestimated me. You always did." He sank into the chair, defeated, stripped of dominance. I didn't gloat. I let him stew. Let him feel the weight of every lie, every betrayal. This wasn't about revenge in the explosive sense. This was about quiet precision, the kind that leaves no room to recover. Later, I walked through the house alone, my mother's laughter echoing faintly in my memory. The rooms no longer felt poisoned by his presence. I didn't feel vindictive joy, only relief, a release from the tension that had coiled in my chest for months. I had turned his world inside out. He had underestimated me, as he always had, and I had used every ounce of patience and strategy to expose him. By the time the authorities finalized the freeze on the assets, he was just a shadow behind velvet curtains, powerless and humiliated. I, on the other hand, reclaimed the home. Not because I wanted to punish, but because I was finally free. Justice isn't loud. Justice is meticulous. It whispers through every calculated step until the betrayer sees the truth too late. And when that moment comes, when silence stretches between them and you, the taste of victory is absolute. I smiled at the empty hallway. My mother's voice seemed to sigh in approval. I was no longer a victim. I was the orchestrator. I was unstoppable.